Hello there, welcome back to the Ogre, the old Git Reacts, Reviews and Off Times Reminiscences. Now then, many a moon ago, I bought, which I think is the first album by Menace Ruine, mainly because of the first track, which has never left the back of my noggin really, particularly when I hear a harpsichord. I always think of that track. And ever since then really, for a few years thereafter I paid some attention and then slipped from my radar really, and then lo and behold, about a week or so ago, on YouTube a recent piece of work from theirs popped up on there, which reminded me all over again about them. So I thought, just by way of a change, I'll do not a now and then, but a then and now. So we're going to listen to the track, my favourite track of theirs really, and then a more recent one. See if things have changed, if at all. So anyway, let's crack on, shall we, with this one. So there's something definitely infectious about this song, a bit like the Plague really, and I don't really know what baroque means, but it just this sounds baroque to me. So it has that feeling of again, it's that whatever tone, that motif that's being played, whether it's harpsichord or it's supposed to sound like a harpsichord, I don't know, but it reminds me of a harpsichord, and so it does sort of take me back to whenever you see representations of that sort of 16th, 17th century, I guess. But regardless of that, you almost immediately get the sense of witchery, or at least that deals with the not supernatural, but certainly the supernatural. Yeah. So, the lyrics, the vocals here sound like a constant invocation, and they do drone along, and they do have a spiritualness about them. Listening to it after so many years, I am reminded of the rough and readiness of it, which is always a bonus for me. I do like things rawer by and large, and those drums, again, they do take you back to simpler situations. I've never been into an Irish pub, a genuine Irish pub, when they have something going on, and there's fiddles and pipes and bodrums playing, but the drums here certainly remind me of it. If they buggered off all the fiddles and all the other instruments and just had a troop of bodrum players there, that's what the drums remind me of here. Again, in support of the sense of an invocation, a gathering, where something is either being praised or maybe even beckoned. Really noticed before the onslaught of the drums there. They come right to the fore and give you a good old kicking, a good old battering. They do, on the sense of inflicting harm. There is something, whether intended or not, a little bit sinister about this this song, about the whole album really. But it's a bit like. What is it a bit like? It's a bit like the cottage in Hansel and Gretel. The verse, if for what it is, sort of invites you in. That little infectious groove motif sort of brings you in a bit, and then at the end there are interludes between the verses where old Witchy Poo's there gets the knives out and starts slicing and dicing. There are slashes of discordance at the end of each verse, which sort of confirm the sense of something not altogether pleasant. But yeah, that little drum section there, drum emphasis, I've not noticed before, and I've heard this song time and time again, but my listening often is involves it being in the background, so sometimes I don't pick up on all the nuances until I do something like this. Anyway, let's continue. Oh, bugger me, I really wasn't paying attention to this song, despite the amount of times I've listened to it. I was more or less convinced that when this catastrophe, when catastrophe strikes around about the 6-minute mark, it then went back into the music again, and then ended on a bit of more cataclysm, but it seems like I was wrong, and on that I am a little bit disappointed, but it is what it is. Well, you think you know a song, and I say, maybe not of late, but back in the day I listened to this time and time again. Well, I am surprised. But I suppose it's a perfect, in hindsight, perfect counterpoint to the music that went before it. It's brought on, if it was an incantation, an invocation, and it was a sinister one. It has brought the ruin you may expect to come from such a thing. Anyway, I'm going to do the more recent track, but it's only available to me at the moment on YouTube, because I haven't bought the album, but it means I'm going to have to piss about a wee bit to change the settings from a visual point of view. So go make a cup of tea or something while I mess about, and I'll be back with you in a minute. Right, there is no smooth transition here, but we're now about to do, what was it? Pigeon Rain, the name of the song. Let's give it a go, shall we? Oof. you might expect after God knows how many years it is, more recent work from this artist is a little bit more polished, and not by any great leaps and bounds, but certainly that grit and grime from the original has been refined a wee bit. However, still unmistakably Menace Ruine, and direct comparison between the track we've just listened to and this, some of the mechanisms, some of the devices to hook you in are similar. Now this is purely by dint of me picking these two songs. I could have picked a different track from the first album, and those similarities would fail straight away, but what we have is another simplistic yet immediately catchy motif that just drags you in straight away. I mean, I heard this song for the first time very recently, and that motif I find myself humming time and time again, so it's done its job. But yes, unmistakably Menace Ruine, even after all this time. The vocals on the last track were a droning vocal, clearly not here. However, the effect is the same. It reminds me a bit whenever you get a Hollywood, I say Hollywood, but a filmmakers trying to represent some wise old woman of days yonder. They always seem to have this sort of voice to them, imbued with wisdom, but also sounding old in a way, but still retaining the strength and vigour of their youth, and that's what the vocals here sound like to me. Yes, and I did that curiously at one point. After I spoke last, I did detect another very deep, buried quite deep in the mix of the music, a hint of a harpsichord again, which I've not noticed. I've not heard this song too many times, but again, listening to something with something like an analytical mind. I don't do myself too much credit there, but you do pick on things that you don't normally do.
Waves and join the
whilst the first album was deeply ritualistic in sound and tone, this isn't. Although there are hints at it, but there is on this particular song. There's something comforting about it. It's as if Menace Ruine are giving you a protective or welcoming hug. The sinister nature of the undertones of the first song aren't represented here, they're not repeated, and the use of strings does give it that sense of homeliness in a way, to me. I mean, I might be stretching it, but there is something, as I say, comforting, and there's an underlying warmth to this particular track. I need to listen to more recent stuff to see if that's unique to this song, or whether it's something that features in their other more recent work. We shall see. Anyway. So there you go. Coincidental though it may be, the end of that song definitely linked back to the first one, even in the sense of that baroque and harpsichordy tones, and the discordance and distorted manner of the end there. Purely unintentional, I imagine, but rather neatly for this video. It does provide confirmation, if you needed it, that we're talking about the same artist. So where does that leave me then? It leaves me with having to look at the new stuff. I can't remember for how many years I paid attention to their work, probably 2 or 3 albums. So I should go and have another listen to some more recent stuff and see where how it grabs me. But anyway, click your bollocks, catch you next time, cheerio. Oh, I'll mention it because I noticed just now that there's a new album of theirs coming out. There's one track on YouTube that I've seen and one track on the preview of the album. So if these 2 tracks have tickled you anyway, go and have a look. So where was I? Yeah, click your bollocks, catch you next time, cheerio.